In the shadows we find our light. Through the struggles we will take flight. Healing hearts and mending minds. Together we'll leave the past behind. Welcome to Persperity Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new ground. With every story shared, we grow and learn. In this journey of healing, it's our turn. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Oh yeah, mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Trauma whispers, but love will shout. In this space of trust, there's no doubt. We'll explore the depths of pain and grace, finding strength in every embrace. Welcome to Persperity Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new ground. With every story shared, we grow and learn. In this journey of healing, it's our turn. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Take a breath and join the ride. Together we'll walk side by side with open hearts and open minds. In this podcast space, true peace we'll find. Welcome to Persperity Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new ground. With every story shared, we grow and learn. In this journey of healing, it's our turn. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Persperity Podcast, a safe space for people healing from trauma. Persperity Podcast, a safe space for people healing from trauma. Persperity Podcast, a safe space for people healing from trauma.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Persperity Podcast. Hey, we're going to flip the script on you today. Usually, Destinee is the host, but this time she ain't the host. She's the guest. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. We always want you to like, subscribe, on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Tell your friends, she's on every Monday at 6. And this is a safe space for people with trauma. So, what we're going to get into today, we're going to talk a little bit about trauma, but we want to talk about life after trauma. A lot of times we hear things that happen and devastating things that happen to people, but we don't actually hear what happened after, the trauma. Did they survive? How are they doing? What's going on? So, that's what we're going to get into today. Destinee, you want to introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about you?
Well, I am Destinee Smith. I am the founder of Persperity Podcast. So I thought I would switch it up and, give you an actual view from not just telling my story today, but not coming from me, but have somebody that I knew that was going to do a phenomenal job just interview me. And I'm a college student. I'm in my Master of Science program. I do graphic design. I do marketing. You kind of name it, I do it. And I'm glad to be here today. And I hope that anything that I share with you today is a blessing.
Yes, yes, it will be. It will be because we hear stories all the time, but we never get to follow up on the stories. Well, what happened? Where are the people at? How are they doing? Do they need some help? We don't know that kind of stuff. So today we're gonna find out. I'm Today's title is Life After Trauma. That's the title of your podcast. So let's get into it. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, just in case you guys, please forgive me. I'm Carlene Carter. I'm the host of Serenity Podcast, which Destinee, uh, she was behind that, helping me get that started. She is the mastermind, is what I call her, behind things like that. Everything electronic or computerized, I can call her and let her laugh at me because I don't know how to do stuff. But we can ready to get into these questions. You see, she's sitting over there laughing now. So we get ready to get into these questions. Destinee, give them a brief synopsis of some of the trauma that you went to because you probably got new listeners and they don't know the story like some people do. So give them a brief synopsis and then we're going to go in and talk about it.
Ooh, okay. So I am a survivor of childhood sexual assault. I have been legally adopted. So, according to the government, I was a foster child. My grandmother adopted me, biological. I've gone through homelessness. Um, it's so on, so on, so on. So, yeah, I'm trying to speed it up for everybody. I was a college dropout in a sense. I gave up. I went back working on my master of science, and learning to deal with right now. My biggest thing is just learning to embrace myself and where I am right now. So I've dealt with insecurities, self doubt. As people say that I don't believe in imposter syndrome, but somebody told me that you know, that's a thing. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. Guys, she's had a really hard life growing up as a child. And I'm so proud of Destiny because she's overcoming it. She's overcoming and she's moving on and to do great things that are coming her way. Destiny, okay, we're going to get started. You had some early challenges as a child that you worked through. Did you ever think as a child that you would come out of this?
Um. Yes, I remember around probably about 4 or 5 years old when it was told to me I had like three options. Those options were,
Mhm.
well, when he was said around me to my grandmother, jail time, snap and commit a
Mhm.
murder, be what has me, and none of them were positive. And I
Mhm.
remember around that age, listening to all these people around me just tell me how my
Mhm.
life was going to be. I came up with a fourth option, and I
Right.
said, "Hey, I'm gonna be somebody. I'm not gonna be what y'all told me I'm gonna be, but I'm gonna be somebody." So I believed that God was going to bring me from it. Like God never crushed, like He never made me feel like there was never going to be more. Like I got discouraged and cried, and I did better suicide at a lot of times, even at a young age, and I mean it was just a lot.
Mhm.
So um, I did, but then I didn't. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's like at one moment you're saying, "Oh my God, I ain't gonna be nothing. I ain't gonna do nothing," but then you get that. I don't know if it's called. Some people say it's a ray of hope. Some people will say it's determination, where you just say, "Oh no, I don't accept this. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
be somebody, and I'm gonna do something," and then you hold on to that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hold on to that, and see, one of the things that a lot of people weren't taught when they were growing up is that words are powerful.
Yes.
And like you said, you knew God was going to do something because you believed that you could do better. And you just believing you could do, God turned it around in your favor. Now, we all have a journey and we all
Yes.
have things that we have to go through. And that's just what we have to go through in our journey, because God uses our story to help other people. It ain't for everybody and can relate to it and say, hey, if Destiny can do it, I can do it too. And see, you might not
Mm-hmm.
ever get to meet
Yeah.
any of those people, but that's why it's so important sometimes for us to tell the story. So now that was your early challenges. What, at what point, and when I say point, what age were you when things started to change for you?
Ooh. So that's so when you say change, as mean as in the consistency of life getting better.
Yeah, of getting positive. Hmm.
Okay. I was 24 years old.
Okay. Okay, you were 24. So guys, just think about from being a little girl up until age 24. Just think about and being around negative people, like she said, just think of what she's went through over those 24 years. Now she's got a shift going where things are going positive for her. Tell us about what changes started that positive movement. Were there people? Was there a certain incident? What happened to get that positive going for you?
So I'm gonna go back to when I had my guest Amy on here. so
Okay.
um, it started out at Popeye's Chicken on Antioch Road in Gladstone. Amy came in, she was mad because somebody messed up her order in the drive-through. So she was ready to get full St. Louis, snuck a buck on me. But yeah, she ended up telling me about the church she went to and all the good things. So I called up there, and it just prompted me to ask if they had anybody to help with college students because I was in school at MCC
Mhm.
at the time, and they connected me with Rashana Freeman. And
Mhm.
I told her all about myself, and I met Amy and Jason, and we met at the the High V up there, and
Mhm.
uh, we all talked and connected, and I ended up having moving forward to Miss Freeman ended up really investing a lot of time in me, like as far as like if I needed homework help, just like being there. And
Mhm.
from there, like her consistency and being in my life. Now she dipped out one time, but we ain't gonna get into that conversation because she don't like that conversation. But it was just that was when it started looking up because I knew that it was no longer me having to you go through a lot of people before you actually meet a lot of real. And a lot of people be like, oh well, it's be some real people. Well, they weren't real enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
They weren't real to the extent where God was like, hey, stop what you're doing. This is who you need to be connected to. So it was like her coming into my life, Miss Remy, was a blessing.
Mhm.
And she loved and cared about me till I became the person I am today. And she's continued to be
Mhm.
that. And she became a mother figure.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's been a
Okay,
blessing.
so she's a mother figure to you. And you know what? That's important because a lot of times I don't think people realize children go through trauma when they're not with their real parents, or they can be with their real parents and things are going on. They need somebody they can talk to and relate to, and tell them what's going on. I know some situations with some kids where, and I have even went toe to toe with the police about this. We tell kids if something's going on, you find a policeman, you tell them.
Hmm.
But if the policeman is going to take you back to the same person you telling them about, then what happens with these kids is they'll run away when they see a policeman. They're gonna run from them. They're not trying to go back. So the system, our system in this country is broken. Okay. CPS does not do what they're supposed to do for kids. And I'm not going to say not all of them. You have some workers that are dedicated, but you have more that are not.
Hmm.
And the really dedicated ones that want to do it, they can tell when something's going on. They might not be able to tell exactly what it is, but they have a gut feeling that something is going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened with you, isn't it? Somebody had a feeling something was going on, but wasn't quite sure.
Well, it was one person before another person figured out what was going on. It was a social worker named Paul when I was like
Hmm.
14, 15, around that age,
Hmm.
and he was
Hmm.
coming in and out of the house, just to be able just to spend time with me. Um,
Hmm.
because I used to report a lot about abuse that was going on in the house, um,
Hmm.
and it was always I was lying, but
Right, right.
remember.
And that's usually what happened with children. And I hate that.
So no, that was like for them to be exact, but also my
Mhm.
grandmother and all this stuff. But as far as like Paul, he spent like maybe like 4 weeks with me. I think it was 4 or 6 weeks. And at the end of it, I remember my grandmother asking him, like, how's everything? And I remember Mr. Paul was like, yeah, I think I just want to go. I'm gonna go and do the report, and then they'll follow up with you. And she insisted on him letting her know. And she
Mhm.
was like, he was like, no, honestly, I feel like there's things going on in the home. And Destinee, Destinee's never said anything to me, but I know there's things going on here. And I remember my grandmother
Mhm.
got so mad, kicked them out. And
Right, right.
it was like, and he was white man. He was, she said, you don't get your white sons off. She was frustrated because I
Mhm.
don't think I don't. This is the first time I've ever said this though. I don't think that my
Mhm.
grandma knew that the behavior that she was doing was abuse. I think she felt that it was a normal sense of coping with, things that she was going through, having grandkids that had went through a lot of challenges. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like she might not have known, just like a person that has gone through abuse does not know that they've gone through it unless it shine light on that. So sometimes an abuser may not know that they are an abuser until it's light shed on that.
And you
So
know what? Studies have been done to show that abusers sometimes turn into abusers. And like you said, it's a cycle that needs to be broken.
yeah,
It needs to be broken because it's okay to report something that ain't right or that you don't feel right about something. And one stigma in the Black community is if you say you need to go get therapy or mental health, they'll go, "Oh, I don't need, I'm crazy. Ain't nothing wrong with me."
yeah,
Did nobody say anything is wrong with you? But it doesn't hurt sometimes to talk to other people and
yeah,
to get, somebody um, else's thoughts on something. You know what I'm saying? Because it
yeah,
could be somebody that you're talking to that could help you with the situation. But, and I hate that old saying, whatever goes on this house stays in this house. Well, if it's hurting somebody, somebody need to go tell somebody. And I've
yeah,
told children before, you might have to tell 10 or 12 people before you get to that one person that's going to say, "Hey, wait a minute, this ain't right. Let me see what I can do to help you." And for you, Paul was that point. Was that right? His name Paul?
yes. So he was the beginning of it because after that,
Okay.
the people, they loved my grandmother. They were like, okay, he's wrong. So I ain't hear from Paul, but
Right. But see, he was that one person. He was that one person that started the change because he just had a gut feeling about something.
yeah, he did, but he wasn't able to proceed with anything. So it really wasn't any change that happened. It was just he
Well,
was a first
might
person
not
that
been at that time. Might not been at that time, but his reports. See, he didn't say what everybody wanted him to say. He
well,
filed his reports the way he thought they needed to be filed.
no, he actually filed them exactly the way it needed to. But because my grandmother was the person who she was, which is a very sweet person, my grandmother's very sweet. But again, I don't
Mhm,
think she knew. I mean, sometimes I believe she did know she was abusive. Other times she didn't. So it's like she
mhm,
already had favor in that area because it's just like when you don't when people are very fond of you, it's very challenging. It's very difficult for someone to see you any other way. So she was
right,
already seen as okay, you're adopting your grandchildren, you're a foster grandparent of your biological grandchildren, not outside children, your biological grandchildren.
right.
So, why are we making her look and need anything different? It's Destiny's fault. But when the real serious change came, was my crider counselor, Stephanie. She came in and she didn't really say much, but I remember one day she told me, she was like, I'm just gonna cut the stuff with you. She actually cussed. She said SHIT.
Mhm,
What's
mhm,
up? I said, what do you mean? She said, I know that there's things going on in that home and I know there's abuse going on. You don't even have to tell me, I just know. I said, okay. I said, I don't even know what you're talking about. She said, all I want you to know is I am here for you. And when you're ready to leave, I know a place you could go. And I remember after that, I was like, what do you mean a place? And she explained to me the place. And I ended
mhm.
up, um, it was a situation that happened and I really needed to get away. I really did.
Right, right.
And I had to make a choice where God had told me, God, the devil told me one thing and God told
Mhm,
me another. And I had to
mhm,
make a choice. And I chose God. I chose to hear God. God had the strongest voice, and I chose
mhm,
him. And I remember I
mhm,
snuck out and went to the neighbors, and I told Stephanie, I said, I'm ready to go. And Stephanie said, I'll be there in about 15 to 20 minutes. Get to a safe space. I will tell me where you're at, and I will come to you. Do I need to bring the police? I said, no police. I was like, I'm good. And I remember going sneaking back in and when she told me, I monitored the time. I slid out the house. I ran to her white van, and she took me to the secure location where they have it. So, like better women shelters are undisclosed locations. They have
mhm.
those same type of
Yes,
things for children
for
and
children.
teens who
Yes.
are trying to get away from circumstances, abusive parents, situations, whatever it is. So I went to that, and
Yes.
I was in high school. I had just became a senior in high school, and I was homeless.
Mm,
I made myself homeless.
right.
Like she was like, we're
Mhm.
it's not the ideal situation. She said, but because I was 17. She said, you're emancipated in the state of Missouri. You're emancipated at the age of 17. So she
Yes.
can't tell you when to come to go. You're okay.
Mm,
And I just
mhm.
remember contacting, I don't know if Miss Simpson watches this. I hope that she is. She watches this sometimes. Jennifer
Mhm.
Simpson, she was over transportation for the Winslow School District. And I
Okay.
remember
Mhm.
um her and I had kind of connected because I was always getting into some type of trouble, like because I went to a predominantly white school district. Miss Simpson is white, but
Mm,
and it was always
mhm.
doing something, but I was always letting them know I'm not the one. Just leave me alone.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I was the mouthy one, but I wasn't a physical
Mm,
fight one. I was the one to hey back up. I remember she gave me her number, and she kind of
mhm.
figured out what was going on too in the household. But I remember I contacted her. I said,
Mhm.
I had her cell phone number, but I had to get in contact with her by any means. I said, I need transportation to school. And I
Mhm.
remember that day when I called her and told her I finally got away, she said, Destinee, I'm going to call you back in about an hour. She called me back and she arranged transportation, which the school district paid for me to get back and forth to school. So I
Mhm.
was able to finish my diploma. And I remember she told me, she said, I never met someone like you. She said that has gone through the things you've gone through, but also at the same time, you still wanted to graduate. You still wanted that
Mhm.
for yourself. And
Mhm.
I remember Stephanie being a catalyst, being there, Miss Simpson being
Mhm.
herself, white. Everybody that's been in my being a person that was like helping me when I was young is white.
Mhm.
Was the first one. People assume that Miss Dream is the only person, but she's the only
Mhm.
not. She's the only person that looks like me. And
Right.
she
Right.
the people that was before her. And they adore her. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And see, I think a lot of times people don't realize what's going on. Now, I have a question for you, and then we're going to jump to another one. But just going back a little bit on what you said, the
Mhm.
lady that came and got you, do you think she read Paul's report?
No, because Kreider worker is totally different than a social worker of the state.
Oh,
She
okay.
told me
Okay. I
that
didn't know.
the way that how she knew was based off
Mhm.
my behavior, but also my
Mhm.
responses were always let me redirect it to something else. But also when she did used to ask me stuff, I used to get uncomfortable and I used to get angry, or else I used to kind of
Mhm.
deflect. Like sometimes I still kind of do that when I'm upset or in a mood. I'll start to act weird,
Mhm.
and it'll be like, okay, what's going on with you? And there was always
Mhm.
other people seeing it as in, oh, I can't stand this girl. But in reality, there were things going on that I couldn't express because
Correct.
living with my
Correct.
grandmother and being in that
Mhm.
room because my grandmother told me she clued me to my room. You go to your room. That's where you're at. Nobody wants to be your friend. Nobody wants to talk to you. You're not loved. You're not cared. So I'm spending time in this room from 13 to 18. I mean, from 13 to 17. I turned back because I got scared when I was when I was 18, and then went back to being homeless,
Mhm.
and I chose homelessness again. But during that time,
Mhm.
I lost means of communication on how to articulate myself intellectually, um, knowing how to actually carry
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
conversation, knowing how to actually process my emotions, how to share them, having that emotional intelligence. I had way, trust me now, I know it's a lot of adults and a lot of people that make assumptions about people with emotional intelligence. I had way
Mhm.
more
Mhm.
emotional intelligence than a lot of adults and young people had then. Because let me tell you this, I was
Right.
homeless in
Right.
St. Louis on St. Louis Avenue.
Mhm. Mhm.
Anybody know about St. Louis Avenue? Know that's a rough part. It's down there where, hey,
Mhm.
you eat or be eaten. So I
Yes.
knew I had to learn street life.
You're
I went
right.
from learning about being
Mhm.
a small town country girl, and but at the same time being locked and secluded in my room where I couldn't actually have interactions with people, losing that and brain shutting
Mhm.
down, coming to seem like I'm very
Mhm.
illiterate, to going out and finally being on my own homelessness. And I'm homeless in the roughest part of St. Louis. And I'm alone. I'm
Mhm.
seeing things, experiencing things. I'm learning street. And I had to learn that fast. But I didn't have much challenges because a lot of people knew who my birth father was. So, but he was locked up at
Hmm.
the time. There was
That makes a
no,
difference.
yeah.
Sometimes they can come in handy. Family can come in handy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, yeah, but my birth parents is a blessing and a
Okay.
curse because anybody that know who they are from St. Louis all the way to Kansas City, they know that you, yeah, their kids are off limits, and that's a done deal. It's either you know or you don't know. But yeah,
Right. 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 Let me ask you this. How has your trauma affected your dreams?
um, I would say it hasn't, but in the way that it has is having to learn all of the things that babies learn and toddlers learn and preteens learn and
Mhm.
teenagers learn
Mhm.
at the age that I am, from like 24 all the way to the age I am now, has been very challenging. It
Mhm.
really has, because those
Okay.
are very vital times. You know, you learn to process your feelings during the toddler stage. You're learning from newborn on up to
Mhm.
be nurtured, to receive nurturing, to be loved and cared about. You know, I'm like, I didn't get that. To know when you're feeling
Mhm.
protected, and I didn't have that. So I was like, okay, now let's get to the preteen stage. I'm in survival mode. I'm in survival mode in my birth mother's stomach before I'm actually conceived.
Yes. Yeah.
Then I'm in survival mode when I'm in this world. So it was like those are very much the biggest challenges that I have, when it comes to my dreams, because I have to
Mhm.
remove myself from the hustle mindset. I got way too many skills, and very intelligent to have a hustle mindset, and that just be that, or
Mhm.
even at the same time, like allowing challenges and hurt and pain that I've gone through to dictate things moving forward. Now things happen and I beat myself up for it because I want better, but
Mhm.
I just sometimes have to give myself, I not sometimes, I have to give myself grace, and I'm learning that
Yeah.
people that know things that I don't know, I'm just like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm just going to watch how you go about doing it, or try to do my best in therapy to, unpack the best way for me to do that. But that has been my biggest challenge.
Okay. Okay. But you know what? One good thing about it is you wasn't scared to go to therapy. You wasn't scared to go get help. And that
Well,
is a big part of.
I've been in therapy since I was 3 years old. So it was mandatory
Okay.
therapy because of being molested from newborn and 3 years old. Like during that time frame of what my biological mother's father was doing. My grandmother, when she got custody, she had to put me there. There was no if and or buts. So it kind of really had to be that thing. And I remember, honey, I remember this therapist that had like, you know, our diaphragm, a female diaphragm, like the boobs, the vagina, or the penis, and all that stuff that the men have, and being able to identify those things at a young age. I didn't even know until like a year ago that I worked with a forensic psychologist because their goal was, okay, let's at least get
Mhm.
Destinee functional. But in them saying let's at least get Destinee functional,
Mhm.
it was,
Mhm.
you're going to have a payee, you're going to either go to prison, you're going to be dependable on people your whole entire life, you're going to be you're angry, you're not releasing your emotions, you don't say much. For the people that say I talk a lot now, I didn't say a lot when I was young. So I speak way more now than I did before. But again, when you're labeling a child with all
Mhm.
of that stuff, it hit different. But I had praying therapists. I did. I had a therapist that laid hands on me, and I also had therapists that actually embraced me and loved on me. And again, they didn't look like me. I didn't begin to embrace the people that looked like me until I was 24 years old, because they rejected me, and they were the ones, not just my biological family. When I was out in the world, people that looked like me judged me, try to tell me how much I was horrible,
Mhm.
didn't care to actually pour into me. It was horrible. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you said you had therapists that laid hands on you, some people might not understand that. Do you mean
I'm
in
sorry.
a way where it's like
So
fighting, or is it lay hands
no,
on
not
like they
hate.
do in church?
So I'm sorry, prayed for me. So they prayed for me. Even when I remember being a little girl,
Okay.
I wouldn't talk to my therapist in therapy. And I remember it was times where we would just sit there, and she used to because I didn't really like being touched, but she made me comfortable enough. So I used to just she used to hold me in her arms the whole time. She did. I remember as a little girl, she would hold me close like I
Gotcha.
was yeah.
Hmm.
So those things are vital. Shout out to therapist Judy Fletcher. I don't know if she's still practicing. I know she was old back then. Shout out to Tina Burkhart. She was a great person as well, and Jennifer
Hmm.
Simpson and Janie Peak and and Miss Diana Kitson, so on, so on. There's been a lot of people doing that journey. That was a blessing when I was younger.
Yeah, that's great. We're going to shout out to Miss Ella Carroll and Miss Rashana Freeman. Thank you guys for joining us. And feel free, anybody listening, if you want to comment on something, comment, make a statement. Hey, we want to see it. We want to see it. Okay, Destiny, now that they've got a good
Yeah.
indication of what you went through, from childhood up to like 24 years old, then you met
Hmm.
Amy Anderson and her husband, and then you met Rashana, and then you and Rashana have developed a mother and daughter relationship. But still,
Yeah.
even with you and Rashana developing a relationship, there was still a point where you was still holding a lot of stuff
Mm.
and didn't know how to release that. Then finally, you got your release. Can you talk about that?
Well, that in the context had nothing to do with the necessarily a trauma in that release.
Hmm.
That had a lot to do with me. I have a stubbornness about
Hmm.
myself ever since I was young, regardless of trauma or not.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do what I want to do because everybody tried to control me. So when I was younger, but nobody controls me. So a lot of that was just being able to surrender to God of the control that I was having, so of myself and having that apprehension because I deal with the same challenges. Trauma healing is linear, and uh, trauma is things it's going to show up. So it's just like sometimes things are going to show up. It's going to trigger you. It's going to put you in a bad mood sometimes, but it's all about how you bounce back. And you got to get around people that are able to nurture you in during those times because people assume that trauma is like is gone or like God is like a Houdini. We
Hmm.
pray and ask God to give us eyes that see, ears that hear, a heart that just understands, so on, so you can be able to cope and bring that back to yourself so you can be one and then repent and talk to God about those things when you hurt people despite, being in a triggering state of mind.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it frustrates me when people throw things around like trauma wasn't referenced in the Bible. Like it didn't say it literally, but people went through challenges and God came and
Oh
blessed them,
yeah, most definitely.
but they still had it.
Well, one thing I can think of in the Bible, one case, Job. Job went through trauma. His whole entire family losing his land, everything he had. You don't think that was
Mhm.
trauma back then? That was trauma. Even though God restored him, you know, to everything that he thought he had lost, he got it back. But still, just the fact of going through it, that's still trauma. And
Yeah.
Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving earth. God gave us a roadmap, so
Mhm.
to speak, on life and how to handle different things. So, therefore, when I said about you getting a release through, going to church, what I meant by release is you said it. You said you were stubborn. Well, that stubbornness came about with what you had been through, and now it's time for you to let it go, and you let it go. Still gonna be a little stubborn in some areas, but that's okay. That's gonna be smooth out. But you're growing. You're growing because you're recognizing things and you're putting things into perspective.
Yeah.
So you good. You good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm young. It ain't. I can't 100% put that on the fact of just like it again. That's me too. Because a lot of things that people don't talk about when you go through trauma, they don't talk about the trauma you put yourself through too.
Hmm.
So I can't. I gotta No, 85% of my trauma is things that hadn't happened to me, that happened to me out of my control. The rest of it is my fault. It is, and I would keep that 100%. The other 15 is my fault. But just to keep it 100, it's
Hmm.
just like, people. Nobody's perfect, but we can't blame one person, a place, a person. We can't put that on anybody regarding what release or whatever it may be in those circumstances. It's that
Hmm.
person. It's that person had to want those things or whatever that may be in that concept. So I can't put it that that was in an environment that allowed that to
Hmm.
be what that was. I can't say
Okay.
that per se. I could say that I was at a place I just couldn't take it anymore. And I feel like all of us do a lot of releasing throughout different times in our lives, whether we're in the mirror and we're saying, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I'm not going to continue to let myself go through this or be crying or being frustrated. So it's not a particular place,
Hmm.
person, thing that was that. It was something that I decided that it was just time to do that. And it just so happened to be in that
Okay.
place.
Okay. And Miss Jean, we see you. We see you. And you're right. Unconditional love for healing. And it's so true. Yeah, we do need a tribe to walk alongside of us for the healing process. And it's got to be a tribe that understands, and are willing to nurture and care about and let you be who you are, who you are. And the
Uh,
tribe that really loves you and cares
yeah.
about you, they're going to let you be who you are, and they're going to correct you in love. They're going to correct you in love.
Oh, for sure.
So, and right, Ella, that's why
For
we
sure.
have to do the work. We definitely do. Sometimes we don't want to do the work, but yeah, you're right. We do have to do the work. Well, Destiny,
Mhm.
since we're talking about life after trauma, now you've had trauma, you got some release, but what's going on now? Because you're doing some big things. You're doing some big things.
I am.
You want to talk about those big things and how
I
life is going now?
I'm pretty blessed. I like to keep my stuff private because I like to make people. I look for me personally. I don't. I'm not a person that if you look at my social media, you might see me advertising my podcast. Other than that, I just like to keep my stuff just to myself. And if it gets out there, it gets out there. But I'm doing really well. I'm interning for a nice place. And in school for my master of science in cyber psychology. And yes, I'm a secretive. You call it secretive, you call it closed up, you call it what it is. It is I'm a person that definitely wants to protect what I have going on because there is sometimes a lot of people that don't want to see you do be great and do great.
Now that is so
So
true. That is most definitely true. You have to be careful who you release different things to. That is a definite true
yes,
statement. I think where you're at now, and you tell me if I'm wrong, you know how to navigate relationships better now. Okay.
yes, yes. I
You
definitely do.
definitely do. Okay. So how have you been navigating relationships now?
Whew, honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you all. I started diving deep in navigating healthy relationships in February of this year. Because I didn't know because of a lot of the things I've gone through. Well, I did because I didn't have a lot of communication with people. Because again, my grandmother had me secluded in my room all the time. It was like, don't come out to eat. You can't, don't eat my food. Don't use my bathroom. Don't do none of that. So I was in this room, and that was my every being, and I couldn't come out, or else I was gonna get abused. So it's like for me, I didn't have the skills to have healthy relationships. So I took whatever was coming to me. And I know a lot of people probably relate to that just in general, regardless if you're going through tumultuous circumstances or not. Sometimes we choose the most
Yes.
unhealthiest relationships because we were taught to have relation, but not the ship part, not the relationship, and
Right.
you put it together. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that there was like my siblings, I had relations, but we didn't have a relationship because it was like, hey, I just know you my sibling, but I never got to know them because to them they're not even realizing what's going on around them and how somebody's being
Right.
treated is trauma. But now they do as adults, that's why they're reacting and dealing with the things they're dealing with the way they
Mhm.
are. But I'm just saying, like, long story short, I've put a pause on, receiving anybody new into my life right
Okay.
now, and on a deep level, unless it's somebody that is sent by
Mhm.
God. And I'm checking with God on that, regardless if that is a relationship and that is my husband. Um, he is my husband, or it's a friendship or whatever. I'm just very cautious because I'm learning in therapy, in my relationship with God as well, that entertaining unhealthy
Mhm.
relationships has always been an MO. Now, if you're criminal justice major, you know that's your
Right.
Mirandus
Yeah.
apparatus.
Greatest.
Mirandus
Mhm.
apparatus. That's the thing that actually ties you to your consistent
Mhm.
behavior. So I consistently always seek those relationships, regardless if I was looking for them or if they just came to me. And I just felt like that was normal. So I recently went through something that was unhealthy. So I had to put myself in the best position to have healthy relationships moving
Mhm.
forward. So that is, I am in a no new relationships in my
Mhm.
life, because I have to learn that whatever I am expecting from
Mhm.
someone else, I need to have that for myself. And I shouldn't expect anything from anybody besides to be nice and sweet, all those
Mhm.
natural things that
Mhm.
you should be. I need to give it to me first. I need to be healthy for destiny. That way I can identify when unhealthy is near, and being able to not reject it, but be able to nurture and be like, you know what? I appreciate you being here. Or, like long handle spoon without having to say anything. So,
True, true. But see, that's navigating. You're learning how to navigate. And it's good that you can
yeah,
identify an unhealthy relationship and cut it off. Don't let it keep going. You know what I'm saying? You just cut it off and move on to the next uh, person, situation, relationship, whatever's coming around the corner. And
um,
I'm glad that you.
I haven't got a chance to. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad.
I was gonna say I haven't got a chance to entertain it yet, like to cut
Hmm.
off something. It's just now since that situation happened, it's like, yeah, nobody in. Not trying to be mean. It's just like, look, nobody in right now, because I have to identify my
Hmm.
unhealthiness on why am I constantly attracting these people? Why am I constantly
Hmm.
entertaining this type of behavior? It's so detrimental to me that I'm just sad and I don't understand, and then I'm obsessing like, what did I do wrong? What
Hmm.
did they do wrong? I don't want to do that no more. I want to be able to accordingly say, adjust and be like, okay, I know where to put this person. We either sometimes people with trauma are
Hmm.
0 to 100.
Hmm.
You either here or you not here. And then it's an emotional thing. Like we might not show you the emotion, but behind the scene, we
Hmm.
going through the motions. And it's like, I don't want to do that no more.
Right.
I'm tired of that. I don't want to do that because that's a hindrance to me, my future husband, and my future children. It's like, get it
Exactly.
together. No, no, I'm not creating additional
Right.
obstacles for
Hey,
myself.
I get it. I get it. Because I tell people all the time, hey, I'll take it to God. Hey, what is this person here for? What do they need? Are they supposed to be here? Or are they not supposed to be here? And then, what depending on the answer I get, okay, next, you know,
Hmm.
because there's no need to entertain unhealthy. There's no need for that at all. At all. And so I get that. But you're learning how to navigate, which is good, which is good. And you're finding meaning in your relationships. You're finding meaning, which is a
Yeah.
good thing. It's a real good thing. What values and beliefs have emerged as a result of you coming out of trauma? See, now you're on the healthy side. You're on the healthy side. So what values and beliefs have emerged as a result of that? I know that's a loaded question, ain't it?
My um my beliefs. I believe in family now, and I never believed in it before because it was unhealthy, and I'm like, how can you be family? And what I see on TV is
Mhm,
not that. This
mhm.
don't look like that, Even though I shouldn't look like, but I'm like, even when I see normal
Right.
people, this don't look like that. But I believe in family, but most of all, I
Mhm,
believe in love, and I'm not talking about love because I always asked God when I was a little girl. I pray to ask God, I want to experience love before I meet my husband because I never want him to be my everything. And I never want him to be the person that has to teach me how to love. I want to learn love from somebody that's a mother figure, a father figure, an auntie figure, whoever that may be. I want to experience that because I know there was
mhm,
challenges that I gone through and it wasn't
mhm.
going to be easy to be able to receive that love and be able to
Right.
give that
Right.
love to. And that's something that's been different. But I
That's
believe in
good.
love now. And I believe it.
That's good. Now, in the Bible, it says, be careful of what you ask for. So words are very, very powerful. I'm going to give you a suggestion. Ask God to show you what love is his way. See, I asked that question
Oh yeah.
of him about marriage because I told God, I said, what did you intend marriage to be? Because you created it. I said, because when you look at the world, it's like, okay, yeah, we're married, we're together until they find somebody else they want to be with. And I said, I know that's not how you wrote that. That's not how that's supposed to be. And so he took me on a 7-year journey. So I'm just, that's why I said, words are powerful. Be careful what you ask for, but ask him to show you love his way.
Well, he
Oh,
did.
okay.
That's why I've experienced. That's what I'm saying. Until I met her, and that's 100% everybody, I never
Okay.
experienced love. I experienced like what you thought it was. I wouldn't say I never have like the Miss
Mhm.
Simpsons and Miss Janie's and Miss Tina, so on, and all of them. That was love. It wasn't just, hey, I'm gonna help you go about your day. Like those people locked in. Like I
Mhm.
got their phone
Mhm.
numbers in my phone. That's how close we all are
Good.
still. They know me since I was a
Mhm.
little toddler. But it's like I never experienced a consistency of somebody being in my
Okay.
life and wanting to be there. So I actually like everybody had feeling and they had
Mhm.
family. Like Miss Sims, all them, they were like, okay, that's we here, you part of our family. But to have somebody that actually brought you into that close proximity and loved and cared about you, introduced you to their family, and you became family. Like her mom, I call her
Mhm.
grandmother. Her sister, I
Mhm.
call her aunt. You know what I mean? A lot of her friends is aunties, y'all aunties, and I got some uncles. So it really became a dynamics for me that I never knew that I could be
Okay.
exposed to. And that love, like I specifically like I told God, I want this, this, and that. I want a mommy. I want to experience this, this, and that. I want my husband to be
Mhm.
this, and that. And he done that. He didn't send my husband before he sent because that's what I asked for. I want to
Mhm.
experience the love before he comes in. Because if I'm healthy as a woman, I'm
Mhm.
already an
Mhm.
emotional
Mhm.
being, feeling I'm gonna be
Right.
unhealthy for him.
Right.
And the last thing that I want him to experience is me not being able to articulate myself, not just on a intellectual, level, but on a
Mhm.
love level. That's gonna be challenging. And no man deserves to have somebody that's completely just
Mhm.
hurt and messed up and dating all that stuff and expect to be there and fix them. And it's
Right.
the same vice versa
Exactly.
for men. Man, come to a level of heal where when
Mhm.
you're dealing with certain things and your challenges that you may be going through triggering you, that he's able to say something to you, she's able to
Correct.
say something to you too, not him coming and he's a complete mess or you coming
Correct.
and you're a complete mess.
Correct. Yeah,
Get
both people have
yourself
got to
together.
be healed so when they get together, they can only go forward. And hopefully they have God as their leader.
Heal, yes, because healing, because there's no such thing as being like you could be healed in one circumstance, but something else is
Correct.
going to happen. It's a domino effect.
Mm.
But from healing, meaning as in you're open, like you've healed to a place where you're healing in a place where
Mhm.
now you're able to receive me. I'm able to receive you. We're able to be best friends. We're able to be friends. Eventually, engage, whatever, or even having best friends, or even
Mhm.
learning how to have friendships in your life. It is important that you have a healthiness with yourself enough to know when something is unhealthy for you and know
Yes.
when you're unhealthy for them. And I can respect the person that tells me I am unhealthy for you, Destiny. I appreciate you. Back then, you told me that I would have been mad because my feelings would have been hurt because I don't have anybody. So you telling me that you're not good for me? I don't care. I'm hurting. I don't have anybody. I'm
Mhm.
lonely. And that was
Mhm.
me back in my trauma.
Mhm.
I was receiving things left to right, no
Right.
matter what it looked like. And it was dangerous behavior. But now it's like, okay, I appreciate you doing that because I have an intellectual,
Mhm.
maturity to me, but also at the same time, I have an emotional maturity. I have an overall mental maturity to know when someone's being able to communicate their feelings. Like, hey, Destiny, I don't like this. I love that. I love that I'm able to receive that from somebody opposed to, okay, I'm unhealthy, but hey, hold up. Don't go nowhere. I'm good though. No, we need boundaries. I need you to be healthy.
Hmm.
I need to be healthy.
Okay.
So
Now,
yeah.
How have you transformed into a stronger and more empowered person after your trauma?
Um, I know a lot of people gonna be like, when I say this, like, no, that's not it. I don't see myself in that sense. My therapist had to tell me because I told her, I said, people
Mm-hmm.
get mad at me because they want to be my friend or they want to step to me, and I'd be like, nah, I'm okay. And I told her, I said, I don't know why. She'd be like, why do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. Am I that dope? She'd be like, yes, you're that dope. Like she got excited. She's like, you're so dope. And I was like, whoa, I need you to calm down. What is this energy? She's like, you are awesome. And people are willing to be a part of that awesomeness. Let them. And I'm like, okay, well, you don't have to teach me to allow to what that looks, because for me, it's like, okay, I'm content because when
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anybody, I
Mm-hmm.
was starving
Mm-hmm.
for somebody. But now I'm just like, no, I'm starving for the right people in my life. Not even starving, but I'm content until God adds on because I'm full over here. I'm full of life. I'm full of happiness. I'm full of joy. I'm full of what God has for me. But I would say, like, I've definitely, oh my gosh, like, been around
Mm-hmm.
my godmom and just who
Mm-hmm.
she is. Something like her heart for people, it has definitely made me be comfortable with the heart that I have. Like ever since I was young, I've always been love
Mm-hmm.
giving
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
loving, according to my therapist. Like you've always been loving and giving. Like I talk to them now, like my old credit counselor
Mm-hmm.
and all of them. She's just like, oh my God, you're grown. Like I remember when you was like this little. I know you since you were five,
Mm-hmm.
and you're so I've been empowered by just those stories from them, or even just the people that I'm around. But I'm learning just how dope I am. So y'all got to give me time because I might be like, nah, I don't see that. But give me time to see it because I'm gonna
Well,
learn
you're
to
gonna see
embrace
it. You're
that.
gonna see it because your mom commented. She said, "I asked God to show me how to love Destiny with His love." She wanted to love you with His love, and that's very important. That's very important. So by her
Yeah,
doing that, now what I see is that you have transformed and you're empowered and you're a stronger person. Okay. You're embracing challenges. You're embracing different avenues that are coming your way and not running from them. That's part of being transformed and being empowered because you and I had a conversation. And remember when I said, Destiny, sometimes you got to say no, or you got to tell people this is how it's going to be. And you are the roadmap for how it's going to be. For example, if you're setting appointments, let's say you got three different clients. Well, we want this and we want this and we did it. No, 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 no. You control that. Remember that conversation? You don't let people pull at you. So
yeah.
that's part of being empowered. That's part of it. And Miss Jean is saying, thank you, Destiny, for your transparency to show your story for others to learn and begin their healing journey. So she's enjoying your
Thank you,
story. Yeah. So
thank
yeah,
you.
I see the personal growth. And you're right. I think you might have to step back and take a look at the mirror. You don't really realize what an awesome person you are yet, but it's coming. It's coming. See, even your mom said you're dope. And
Well, I
usually we
kind
don't
of
say that
realized like
about
the
our
room.
kids. We'd be like, yeah, all right. Yeah, all right.
I realized when I was now I will tell y'all this because I had to take a step back. Like the pivotal moment in my life where I
Mm-hmm.
knew that the change that I was evolved,
Mm-hmm.
like God was evolving to the
Okay.
next level. It wasn't when I graduated in,
Mm-hmm.
MCC. It wasn't when I graduated from Clarkland University. It was when I went to DC. My mom said she had to make that happen. I remember I got into this elite
Mm-hmm.
program in DC, and it was opportunity to spend the summer in DC and get an internship working somewhere
Mm-hmm.
on the
Mm-hmm.
Hill or somewhere else. And I got the opportunity to work for one of the world's biggest aerospace companies, AIA in Rosslyn, Virginia. I remember being in DC and going into rooms
Mm-hmm.
and spaces that I saw on TV growing up as a little girl that was going through trauma. That when I did sneak out of my bedroom, when my grandmother said, "Don't leave this room," when she was snoring at night, she was asleep, watching these things on TV, and I'm walking in these rooms in DC, and I'm like, wow. And I'm taking pictures of everything. Everybody else, they just sit there and they're just like, why is she doing all of this? I'm amazed because I had to take so much just to be able to, in my mindset, always thinking trauma. And now I'm literally in this space and I'm like, I didn't even think of trauma. I'm thinking,
Mhm.
oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I am here. I'm touring CNN. I'm in the seat where the breaking
Mhm.
news of the White House.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
literally, I got pictures of it. I'm literally at the Pentagon mingling with a connection that Miss Janie, like the lady,
Mhm.
like when I was young, I told you a lot of Caucasian people. She loves me so much, and I love Miss Janie. I don't know if she watching, but I love you so much. She connected me with her friend that was a high ranking
Mhm.
in the Pentagon, and he came out, and I remember from all the interns, he came up and he embraced me. He said, "You want to come over for dinner?" And I remember that
Mhm.
made me feel so
Mhm.
cool. I was just one made me feel so cool, and to know that somebody knew it didn't feel like
Mhm.
I never knew him.
Right.
It felt like I knew him, and just stepping foot in a different, being around these different billionaires and millionaires and politicians and staying a few blocks
Mhm.
from the White House and walking past the White House. And I'm telling you, so many different things. I knew that pivotal moment
Mhm.
that was big for me because at that moment, God was showing me you can do
Yes,
anything you put
ma'am.
your mind to.
Yes, ma'am.
I and it was even bigger when I realized I was intelligent because I didn't know that until I met my mom, Rashawn Freeman. When she first met me, I felt like I was dumb because
No.
I was always told I was. But
Mhm.
I passed high school I passed high school with a 3.4
They
GPA.
ain't
It could have
dumb.
been better,
If
but I
you
was going to. But in
Mhm.
college, when I got to MCC, like when I started at Park University
Mhm.
and I went to MCC, I felt like I was dumb. And she literally took time to pour into me, to love me, to care for me, and tell me, "You're not done.
Mhm.
Do this right here." And then she'd be like, "Okay, do that." And she had literally loved me enough to help build me up so I could see myself. Because she had to realize I can't
Right.
just tell Destiny. I'm learning I have to love Destiny, like
Mhm.
she said, with the love of God. The love of God. Because I had to be able to receive what she was saying to me and receive that I was smart and intelligent. I went to MCC, graduated, went to Clark Atlanta University, graduated with the highest honor, summa cum laude from many different honor societies.
Mhm.
My table was full of awards
Mhm.
and my neck was heavy. I don't know if you all saw that. That was a pivotal moment. That was big for me.
Good.
But DC was even bigger because it let me know the sky's not the limit for Destiny. Destiny's going to go farther. And even what I'm doing right now and the internship that I'm interning now, if you all know, that's big for me because my future is
Yes.
big. And the things that I'm wanting to do, the people I'm connected to, the God has been good. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right. Go ahead and share it because people need to understand there is life after trauma. Now, let me ask you this. What are the key
Mhm.
lessons learned from the experience of trauma? Did you learn any key lessons?
I learned that I learned the things that you go through in your life.
Mhm.
Um, First, let me say this: there's a difference between trauma and tumultuous circumstances.
Mhm.
People go through trauma almost every day. Tumultuous circumstances is what hinders you for your day in day and moving forward. That creates a chemical imbalance, so it impairs you on your day to day.
Mhm.
That you feel like you have to take
Okay.
drugs, like such as any type of thing to numb you, or even medicine from a
Mhm.
doctor. So I learned that trauma nor tumultuous circumstances um, could ever stop you from what God
Mhm.
has for you. That whatever is sitting inside of you right
Mhm.
now that says, "Hey, I know I could be something," feed on that until somebody comes in and gives you something else to feed on. And that person, I'm 100% believing in
Mhm.
this. Pray and cover the person that's coming in your life. And don't always assume it's going to be your husband or
That's
your
right.
wife. Assume that it's going to be somebody that's going to come and be life
Mhm.
changing and be able to
Mhm.
receive that because then when they're coming into your life, you have to come to a point where you're going to be able to receive, not fully receive everything that they're giving you at the like instantly, but
Mhm.
receiving them. So then the work of God is beginning to come because He doesn't intend for us to go through the things we go through and not be able to send different people to help guide you through those circumstances. So I learned that you definitely there's a difference between that, but also what you go through does not defy It does not define where you're
Mhm.
going next. And if you if you use your trauma, your emotional circumstances as an excuse, that excuse is going to become your identity.
Mhm.
And when I mean your identity, everybody's going to put that exact thing
Mhm.
as that being you. When they see
Mhm.
you, that's going to be you. When you're talking, that's going to be you. You know, like be more than what you're going through. Have those awards, those accolades, but in that, if you want to talk about your story, the things you've gone through, the triumph of the things, you know, the triumph from the triumph, tumultuous to testimony, do that. But do that in a way where you're actually having a balance. Go to therapy, go to, you know, some type of art therapy, you can go to talk therapy, music therapy, anything that helps
Mhm.
build you up.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Now, I know we're about to wrap this up, but I still have to ask this question. Is there any advice that you want to give people about trauma or getting healing, or any thoughts that you want to leave with the audience that may help them?
Yes. Just because you've gone through trauma or tumultuous circumstances don't make you no better than nobody. Doesn't make your story better than anybody. You're not more superior because of what you heard somebody else go through is way
Mhm.
less than yours. And because you've gone through it and you're in a profession and you're just thriving, does not make you
Mhm.
better than anybody.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Be better than yourself. I want to be better than that. Be better than who you are yesterday, today. Continue to outdo you. And don't make it such a thing where it makes people feel like you're a perfect person. Like nobody wants to deal with
Mhm.
somebody that's perfect. Be
Mhm.
authentically you. Sometimes you're gonna have days where you
Mhm.
don't want to be bothered,
Mhm.
and that's okay. There's gonna be days where you're in your head. There's gonna be days where you're not feeling friendly,
Yes.
and that's okay. But to me, if I have anything to do with it, just know in the future that is the way that people see trauma is going to completely change. Like the way that people handle are in association with people that
Mhm.
have gone through trauma and tumultuous circumstances are going to change. Because if it have anything to do with Destinee Smith, we're going to have some laws changed. We're going to have some things implemented into workspaces and places because it's time for people to
Yes.
embrace that you cannot outrun trauma and tumultuous circumstances. It's evident. You have to see the
Mhm.
value in people, not just what people
Amen.
do, but the value that the things they've gone,
Yes.
they're still willing to move forward.
Exactly. I am right there
Yeah.
with you. And I want to add to piggyback on what you're saying. People have to realize, and what
Hmm.
I've ran into a lot of times with different people and, different families, because, I love people, I love talking to people. I can see, I have
Hmm.
a family and you have one or two people that are just doing the dang thing like you are. They just getting out there, they're getting with it, and you could like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And you'll have family members, oh, well, she or he thinks he's all of that or a bag of chips. It's not about that at all. What it is the direction that you want to go in. So I would tell you to pray, put your
Hmm.
hand in God's hands, and you keep reaching for the sky. Because one of the scriptures talks about, God wants us to dream. He wants us to dream, and He wants us to dream big. Because one of the scriptures said He can do
Yeah.
bigger than we could ever ask or think. So you keep reaching it, you keep doing it. And as long as you can see it and see yourself doing it, you're going to reach that. And when you reach it and you see something else you want to do, you keep going bigger and bigger each time. Make those changes. Don't
Yeah.
allow family members or friends to hold you back. You reach for
Yes. And I want to share this too, because I was speaking with someone the other day. Despite the things that
it. Hmm.
you have gone through, and you feel like at right now in your life
Hmm.
things are not moving, they are moving because you chose
Hmm.
to get up every day, despite
Hmm.
whatever it may be
Yes.
that you're dealing with. That's showing
Hmm.
that you have purpose, but it's also showing that you're standing in the same place. You may not be physically standing at it, but you're standing in it spiritually and
Hmm.
emotionally and mentally.
Yes.
It's time to move. You have to get the will to just take one step out of that thing that
Hmm.
is keeping you bound, whether that's physical or mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, because you you want more for yourself, and you want more for yourself.
Yes.
That's a step. A person that can identify those things, that right there, that's a person that's a
Mhm.
little bit dangerous to
Mhm.
themselves. But that's a healthy
Yeah.
response to yourself. So take that baby step and get around people. Don't be afraid to connect with people that have gone through different things, such as
Mhm.
I or anybody else that's a motivational speaker doing whatever. Don't be afraid to connect with them because some people are
Right.
afraid to trauma bond. And I'm not a big person on
Mhm.
the trauma bonding thing, but the things that you've gone through, get around people
Mhm.
that uplift you
Mhm.
because I'm telling you this, just because I've gone through things and I'm, in a better space does not mean that what you may bring to my life may
Mhm.
not be value, that you don't have things to teach me and to pour into me because I don't just have poor, you poor, I poor relationships. It's look, we all
Mhm.
pouring into one another, and
Mhm.
that's just what it is. I can't just have one relationship where I'm pouring
Right.
every single thing into you. I have different people now where we're talking, and even when I'm talking about the things I'm going through, I'm going back and I'm pouring back
Mhm.
into them as well, meaning that and I'm listening to them and
Mhm.
I'm receiving them. So if you're somewhere right now and you're standing still, it's time to
Yes.
stop standing still. It's time to be
Mhm.
about that action.
Mhm.
Get into war. It says there's a LaRue song. Her song says it's a war going
Mhm.
on, a war in the heavenlies. It's
Yes.
a war going
Oh,
on.
yeah.
You're gonna better
Mhm.
God, hey,
Mhm.
give me the armor because I'm ready to go to war. I'm ready to stop standing where I am because the things that we of 9 times out of 10 after the age of 18, anything that happens to you
Mhm.
is your
Mhm.
responsibility, regardless if you put yourself in that circumstance or not. So start taking responsibility for what you do and stop thinking that hey, I made this mistake, somebody's gonna clean it up. You cleaned up. You have to start
Yes.
cleaning up your stuff, and you have to start taking responsibility for that
Exactly.
as well. But easy on yourself and get around
Mhm.
people that love you and get around people that's actually
Yes.
doing the work, not telling you, oh, well, that's trauma. Like, get over that, or trying to tell you how to navigate your
Mhm.
trauma, the things you're going through. Everybody's healing looks different. Your
Mhm.
resources are gonna look different. It's not gonna look like mine's, no matter what I say on here. I'm just only trying to inspire you to go do the steps that are
That's good.
best for you. Because when it takes it
It
takes you to a
does.
whole nother level, and then there's a domino effect
It
of
does.
things that's happening. So get around people that are pouring greatness into you and they're
Mhm.
doing great things. And I'm gonna tell you right now, try to don't cut them off because some people are good to being in our life in areas, but not one specific area. Don't cut them off, but push them outward and bring other
Mhm.
people close. Because when you are in that season where you just feeling like nothing's going right. I really want to do good. I can't do anything right. That's the timing when God's saying, "Hey, I need you to push them. I'm pushing them back, but I'm bringing
Yes.
other people in.
Yes.
I want him to bring them in." And sometimes God's putting you in
Mhm.
an isolation season, and you don't need nobody. And we'll know when we're in isolation. You'll know when you're in isolation
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. But I just want to pour that into you all out here, and anybody that's done things or feel like they're doing things that are not they can't come back from. You
Yes.
can come back from anything. I'm true a representation of knowing that God will bring you through it, and you can overcome it no matter what, no matter what. So stand, pray, kneel
Right.
down,
That's it.
pray, talk to God. But
That's it.
it's time to move.
And you know
It's time to
what?
move.
I want people not to be afraid to ask questions. For example,
Ooh.
let's say, okay, we go to a big church, and let's say I didn't know you, but let's say you're on TV, Destiny, and I want to get on TV. Don't be afraid to ask somebody, how did you do that? How can I do that? One of the things that I'm not afraid of, uh, well, of course, a lot of the listeners may or may not know, I own Divine Favor Enterprises, where I do body butters and sugar scrubs. I have asked, people have come up to me and asked me, how do I do that? And you know what? I share
Mm-hmm.
how I do it because I'm not afraid of competition. I want the competition. See, competition makes me better because I'm like, well, yeah, okay. Then I'm going to tighten this up over here. So don't ever be afraid to ask somebody questions. And if you ask somebody questions and you'll get those people like, and they'll draw all up, you know what? Walk away because it's somebody else doing the same thing that will share that information. And one of the things that Destinee said that is so valuable that I don't think people caught at the beginning of the conversation, most of your help came from people that didn't look like you. And you know what? In the business
Huh?
world, most of my help came from people that didn't look like me either. So that's why I said, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be. And reach for the stars. Reach for the stars.
And start questioning too. It's okay to start ask God, like, God, can you give me the eyes to see to know if the people around me, regardless if they're adults or mentor, whatever they may look like, is this
That's right.
person for me? Because sometimes the people that we love the most are not really
Correct.
for us in the areas
Correct.
that we place them. Get them out of the areas because they probably 9 times out of 10 the person or the people that are hindering you, and that's why you feel
Exactly.
the way you feel. Stop putting people. I heard this preacher say, stop putting associate in a confidant
Yes.
space.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
supposed to be there. Stop putting associate in best
Exactly.
friend area. They're not supposed to be. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
shuffle around, and it's okay to that somebody that once was close is no longer close. Don't push that closeness on you. It's a time where God is shifting you
Exactly.
to a
And
whole
that's
nother
why
level.
you can't be afraid to pray and talk to God, because a lot of times what I see people doing, and I used to do it too before I learned, we try to make people lifetime people. They're not lifetime people.
Ooh.
They come into your life for one of three reasons: to teach you something. And when they teach you something, they're gone. Or they come in for a season to
Mhm.
spend a season with you to help you get through something, then they're gone. You can't make those people lifetime people. And I always say you can count on one hand how many lifetime people you got in your life, and you ain't gonna need that whole hand. You're not gonna need the whole hand. Because see, lifetime people are the
And I
ones that's gonna get in your stuff. I had to correct that word. Get in your stuff when you ain't right. They don't care if you get mad, because what I tell the lifetime people, see, like you said, we feed both ways. I can do something and they'll be like, okay, now you out of character. You out of character. You know you doing XYZ. You need to pull back. You know that ain't right. And then I'll be like, look, I don't want to talk to you. I don't care about you hanging up. When you get glad, call me back. And they'll hang up the phone. But that is a real person
and
that's
then
supposed to be in your life. If you got somebody that's saying,
you,
oh, and they agree with everything you do, and girl this and that, get rid of them. Get rid of them because they up to the good.
I I agree with you. Like I had friends in my life. I had a best friend in my life, and when I was speaking to her, and money y'all know her. Her name was Terica. And anytime that I called and I talked to her, she would tell me I would, regardless if things was going on, she would always discern, get around
Mhm.
godly friendships, but not
Correct.
just any godly friendships. The ones that listen to
Hmm.
know what you're not saying and say, "Hold up, you're not
Right.
telling me the full thing. I need you to tell me 100% what's going on. Because don't come and tell me this the good stuff. I
Right.
want to hear all of it. But also, you know, don't tell me what they tell me
Right.
what you did too." And it's just like get around. If it's hard to determine if you have a true friend if you're not willing to be
Right.
a hundred
Well, you know
percent with
what?
them. And because we consider real friends people that we can just talk to and just joke around with. They good. Them
Hmm.
people that you could talk to, have conversations with. But you be 100% real and them read you and tell you like, hey, that
Right.
ain't it. That's not
Yeah.
right. That's not okay. You need to get it
Yeah.
together. You need to change this up. Get around some real people that are
Hmm.
prayed up, that's gonna call that out. Not people that's
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
lecture
You don't
you
need
and
lecture.
always try to tell you that stuff like, oh yeah, well God said
Yep.
biblically. I know what God said.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Get somebody that's gonna be real. Like, hey, you messing up, get it together. I'm gonna pray. You want to pray, or you don't want to pray
Hmm.
me? That's fine. You mad? I'll talk to you later. I'm gonna pray with you. I'm gonna pray for you. You can go about your day. But get around
Yes.
those real people because there's real people out here, and age don't determine that. After you turn like, I'm be real, like 21. Come on now, you could be 21 with a 48-year-old friend, 50-year-old friend, 60. Get around. Some of these young people could pour into you
Yeah.
older people. Some of you younger people could pour into the
Exactly.
younger generation or even the older generation. Get
Correct.
connected with them. It's okay to be friends with them. If they got the maturity level in the in the
Hmm.
spiritual maturity, they got the just the maturity in general,
Yeah.
lock in with
Exactly.
them. For
Exactly.
real. Because people
Because
be the ones that take you to the
yeah.
next
Because I
level.
have a friend that came to mind when you were saying that. I call her Yo. And so she was telling me something one time, and I looked at her. I said, say what? And she told me again. Do you want me to tell you what happened? Or are you going to tell me the real deal? And she sit back, what? I said, don't what me. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Spill the beans. And she was like, okay, well, and I said, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. And so you need those kind of people in your life. You really do. You really do. Because they'll
Yes,
help you grow.
I learned that.
They'll help you grow.
Yeah, because I learned that throughout my trauma journey, throughout the journey
Mm-hmm.
of healing and trauma, I have appreciated authenticity. You're so right, Miss Carol. Authenticity
Yes,
is
it is.
important because I will appreciate a person that keeps it 100% with me rather than acting funny or rather than trying to be any type of way. Once you start type of moving funny, I'm the type of person where it throws me off. I'll be like, okay, well, cool. You just do that. I didn't deal with a biological family that do that. I don't need
Right.
to deal with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I wanted to do with that, I'll go over here. But even in that, it's like I appreciate authenticity. Tell me
Mm-hmm.
what I did wrong. And even if you feel like it's going to make you feel some type of way, if you have to question if you can be real with somebody, I think you need to question if they actually need to
Mm-hmm.
be in your life. And I'm talking about in the day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
consistent basis where if you see them every day or you see them a lot, you need to actually question yourself
Right.
or why you entertaining it. Nobody deserves that. And they don't deserve to not know to feel like you're on a level with
Mm-hmm.
them that you're not. You keep it 100, I keep it 100. You pouring into me, I'm pouring into you. That's the pouring part there. You got authenticity, I got authenticity. Hey, today, Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
your attitude stink for letting me know that.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. You know what I mean? You keeping it
Exactly.
100 with me.
And you
Like,
know
hey,
what?
I'm gonna
There will
say,
be times with
but
relationships like that, y'all both be going, I don't know. And then that's the time when you two should pray together because he said, where two or three are gathered, I am in the midst. So there'll be a lot of times you might not know what to say, but you can grab that person's hand, or if they're
mhm,
on the phone or y'all video chatting or whatever, and say, you know what, let's pray and let God intercede and tell us
yeah,
what we need to do. And that is a real
right.
person. That's a real person. They don't mind saying, you
Facts.
know what, I don't
And,
know, but I tell you where we can get the answer. Yeah.
yeah. And some of you guys, it's like how computers have updates. Some of you need like a computer updates by being able to go in the software. Sometimes your relationships in your life
Yeah.
need a software update, meaning as in y'all have to do a little reboot, little rebooting of the relationship or even the software where you're going in and you're relearning each other. You're talking about the things that are, you thought you knew in the beginning. It's okay. What's your favorite
Mhm.
color? Is it still purple? Your favorite food still this? You know what I mean? Or hey, let's check in. We have to re-get to
Exactly.
know people every 5 to 10 years. And people be like, I've known somebody for 20 plus years. Hold up. I think you don't realize that you still gotta freshen
Yeah,
up that friendship, that relationship, whether when you're with somebody or you're in a friendship, you have to freshen up those
exactly.
relationships because the versions of the people that you see as they grow is not the same because you grow with age, you grow with experience, you grow with
Mhm.
wisdom, you grow with knowledge,
Exactly.
so on, so on. So make sure that in a part of nurturing those relationships that you're relearning them. You're doing a software, you know, hard software update, reboot, whatever, where you're able to embrace
Yes.
them for where they are. Because a lot of people don't know how to do that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it is not that hard to just be like, you know what? I want to get to know you. Like, what are some other things? Because you may realize that, hey, this person and I have a whole new level of
Right.
relationship that I didn't know because this person
Mhm.
is way more mature. I could talk to them about things I never knew I could. But you have to be that person to step in that position to say, hey, I want to actually
Right.
relearn you. I know they're gonna be shocked when you ask them,
Yeah,
like,
and don't be
relearn me. But they're
no, I
gonna
was
be
gonna say, and don't
with
be
you.
afraid to listen to people younger than you or older than you because they all have something. If they really, really care about you, they're going to bring things to you
Mhm.
because Destiny brought something to me and I laughed about it. And I called her the other night and I said, listen, uh, somebody said the same thing you said. You see, she's sitting over there laughing because she know what I'm talking about. And so my sister is here from San Antonio. And so I just handed her the phone. I said, Destiny, Sherry, Destiny. And I said, what was y'all telling me about dress? Destiny was talking about. Now, I had on y'all a simple pair of jeans and a white shirt. Okay. That's how I was feeling yesterday. Destinee gonna come up behind me and say, how you gonna get a man dressed like that? I need you to go sexy. You need to, and I'm like, girl, can I have a day off? Then she gets on the phone with my sister, and so they the clothes police. I'm gonna tell y'all now, they the clothes police. Sherry talking about she ain't going out of here no animals. We are not doing that. When she said animals, y'all, I laughed so hard because I remember when my kids was coming along, and they are 30 and 42 now. So you know how long ago that was being. They used to have the animals for people that couldn't match clothes. Well, they really did it for kids to help them get dressed when they wanted to. You know how kids want to wear stuff and they just don't match sometimes. Well, if they match the animals, then that top would go with that pants, that shirt or skirt or whatever. So they pulled that one out on me and said, we're not doing animals. You cannot wear that with that, and you don't wear them together. And I'm like, Jesus, okay, 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 yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So she did a software update on me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Look, I have look. We have a authenticity, honest policy with all my aunties and my uncles. So I just keep it a buck with y'all. Keep it a buck with me. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Now, some of the aunties and uncles, we working on it. We need to update our relationship. So we need to do a software update. Because hey, where I was before didn't determine who I am now. But at the same time, it's like, hey, I need to get to relearn you as well. So, a lot of those things is just, again, y'all, if I could leave you with anything as we wrap up is update your relationships. Do a software update, you all. And like me as in, sometimes we need to know what biblical scripture is placed on a relationship you have. What type of relationship do I have? Because we always had that on for the relationships. I want they be like, man, be like, I want a Proverbs 31 woman. I mean, and it's a Joshua. What is that scripture for what man is?
You
I
would
want
ask me that,
the
and my Bible's not laying close to me.
there's a scripture for what you want a man. Know what type of
Okay.
friend you want as well, because there's Bible
Mhm.
scriptures that can cover that.
Yes,
Because I'm learning that too. Cover those relationships, but software update because sometimes the
yes, they
scriptures
do.
change. So software update. Stop standing still, move an inch, not paraplegic in the spirit no more. Get up. God
That's
said you
right.
can walk. You can walk, and then on before you know it, you about to be running. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
update,
you know what?
not
For
a
that
paraplegic.
software update, people, if you've never seen the movie War Room, go watch it. That lady will teach you how to change your circumstances. Because a lot of times when you hear people that believe in God and we've experienced Him and been around Him for a while or going through some things, we might say, pray. And we need to explain to you how to pray. So, like Destiny's saying with the software
Mhm.
update, if you watch the movie War Room, she tells you how to get in your closet and how to apply scriptures to your situation. So that way it'll change that situation. Okay. So
Yes.
we are getting ready to be out. Destinee, thank you. You did a beautiful job of sharing what life is like after trauma. You are definitely moving forward. I love it. I want to see more from you. Okay. I'm just letting you know that I want to see more. I want to see these big things because I'm going to be there and I'm going to be riding you about it because I want to see it. And I know you can make it happen as long as you keep your hand in God's hand. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you.
We thoroughly enjoyed you, the questions and the comments. Keep it going. I want you to subscribe to her podcast. She comes on every Monday at 6 and she talks about trauma. This is a healing space for trauma. So please tune in. And when you go to subscribe, click the bell. So whenever she comes on live, you will get, a little ding and it'll tell you that she's on and you can click on it and tune right in. Right in.
Yep. Subscribe to Serenity Podcast, Cernity Podcast on YouTube. And you could go to Instagram and Facebook as well. But thank you all for joining me, watching me today, and me flipping it from me being the host to Miss Carly being the host and me being the guest. We have an amazing guest next
Yes.
week.
Yes. Thank you, guys. We're out.
In the shadows we find our light. Through the struggles we will take flight. Healing hearts and mending minds. minds. Together we'll leave the past behind. Welcome to Persperity Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new